Hi, this is Stu Turgel, your host for The Phoenix File, a weekly news magazine and community conversation with the people and programs making a positive impact on the quality of life in our community. The new school year has begun with the addition of a new private nonprofit school that is meeting the needs of students with high-functioning autism in the Metro Phoenix area. Science Prep Academy is now filling a void for a small, high-tech college prep high school for students on the autism spectrum. Science Prep Academy is the first career and college pathway school in the region for students with autism in grades 6 through 9, and they emphasize STEM studies in science, technology, engineering, and math. Stay tuned for tonight's edition of the Phoenix File and my conversation with Kenneth Mims, founder and principal of Science Prep Academy. That's coming up next right here on Radio Phoenix, where the Valley comes to talk, sing, connect. Good evening, I'm Stu Turgel, your host for The Phoenix File, a weekly news magazine that features the people and programs making a positive difference on the quality of life in the Valley of the Sun. With the start of the new school year, there's a new school in Maricopa County that brings together two very important goals. One is to develop a concentrated focus on STEM studies, which are academic courses in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and math. And the second focus is its total commitment to the education of children in grades 6 through 12 who are on the autism spectrum. Tonight, we'll find out how this newly opened nonprofit private school is providing students with autism the tools and resources they need so that they'll be better prepared for an emerging 21st century global scientific workforce. My guest tonight is Kenneth Mims, the founder and principal of the new Science Prep Academy. Kenneth is a 16-year veteran teacher, certified to teach all science courses for every grade level, and he's a certified special education teacher. Kenneth earned a Bachelor of Science in Physics from Hampton University and soon discovered his passion for education while teaching science at a small charter school in Philadelphia. Later, while studying for his master's degree in science education, he examined the impact of science education on the social and academic achievement of students with autism. Kenneth has observed the profound impact STEM education has on a student's self-esteem, motivation, growth, and ultimately his or her success in school. Specializing in educational solutions for students with autism, Kenneth has traveled extensively promoting science and technology and the right of all students to have equal access to high-quality education. Kenneth Mims, thanks for being here tonight, and welcome to the Phoenix File.
Good evening, Stu. Thank you for having me.
Creating a new school, especially one that has such a unique mission, is a bold and complex undertaking. What did you have to go through to take Science Prep Academy from a dream or a concept to an actual operating school with real teachers and real students?
Well, it has actually taken about 16 years. It has become a passion. Initially, as a individual with a science background, I started teaching in Philadelphia, and eventually relocated to Georgia, where I was a inclusion teacher for individuals with disabilities. There was a general ed classroom. I had some students who had learning disabilities, and I found out that they were some of my best students. They were really engaged. They questioned me, and I really wasn't getting questions from my regular ed students, and it really blew my mind. I was like a kid in a candy store. So I had to go around the whole building. It was funny. So I was going around the building. Who are these kids, and what's their disability? Autism. What's autism? And it just happened, work out where I was studying for a master's degree at that time. I was able to do some research projects on autism and to go a little bit deeper. But I realized, based upon their natural engagement for science, their way of thinking, and they also reminded me of a lot of my professors at the university. My physics professors. Like, for instance, there's a movie that was out called The Accountant, Ben Affleck. and he had some aliases, and all of his aliases were based upon math and science scientists, and it was a correlation between them possibly having autism. So it just worked out. My passion for science actually has transitioned to a passion for science education for individuals with autism.
You talked about the kids who were on the autism spectrum, and you contrasted them and the way that they would engage in the educational process or the learning process with kids who weren't on the autism spectrum. What do you think is behind that difference?
Well, it's complex, and I think this has become more of a calling or a passion, or because things just lined up for me. My background is science. I think if I taught any other subject, I would not be in the situation, because individuals with autism just have a natural attraction to science. Some, not all, but some. So it made it easy for me to build that relationship. They have something to some degree that they like, they want. But there was a social aspect that I noticed. The individuals in my class had to remind the class to be respectful, appropriate. Sometimes they may do social things, social norms. Maybe they just wouldn't follow social norms. At lunchtime, I noticed they would sit by themselves. And I just became curious. And then I realized if they have that social and emotional support, it can help them to transition into a workplace environment. And it's really not just education, but my eyes open up that they really can be an asset to contribute to a scientific workforce.
This sounds like it really is about going beyond just classroom teaching. This is about changing lives.
Correct. I think as far as classroom teaching, I think it is sometimes not conducive for their learning, especially when you're talking about a classroom of 35 kids, one teacher. A child with autism needs a greater individualized program and support, and it can become a behavioral issue for a teacher who has a lot of responsibility on their plate already.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the physical space that is the new Science Prep Academy. Where are you located? How much space do you have? And what are the facilities and features of your new school?
Well, we're located in South Mountain on Broadway. We partnered with the Salvation Army Kroc Center. It's a beautiful facility that the Kroc Foundation, founders of McDonald's, donated. So it's actually an $88 million facility, 144,000 square feet. And it allows us to not only provide the academic support, but it provides an opportunity to provide an appropriate physical program for the students. So we have access to NBA size, well, actually 3 NBA size basketball courts, a swimming pool with a indoor slide that goes from the top of the building. But also we have a game room, which has a pool table, air hockey, 2 TVs, 2 video games, a closet full of games. So that really allows us to create a positive and engaging atmosphere where the students are fully engaged and they really want to do their best.
That's great. Let's shift now to what is, without question, the most important, and that is the faculty and the students. How many teachers do you have, and what are their academic responsibilities, and what do they teach?
Here we have an interesting model. So we're using what's called a blended model in which we infuse digital curriculum. But in addition to the digital curriculum, we do have what's called direct instruction. So we do have teachers that teach math and language arts. So those particular individuals are specialized in working with individuals with disabilities in the autism population. But we also have a unique program, or rather a unique position of what's called a success coach. So the success coach supports the student and just makes sure that the student is both successful academically, but also emotionally and from a behavior support standpoint.
Is the success coach a classroom teacher?
It would be considered a co-teacher.
Uh-huh.
Our teaching environment right now is at a 3-to-1 ratio.
That's pretty amazing.
It has been, a wonderful opportunity, and we're really seeing that the students actually progress a lot faster with that combination, those small numbers, but also that teacher and that success coach to guarantee the progress of the student.
Was it difficult finding teachers? Where do they come from, and what special skills do they have?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, it has. Unfortunately, Arizona has a teacher shortage, and that's general education. So when we talk about something specialized as far as special education and autism, it really requires a unique approach. So what we had to do was really create a model that provides the professional development and the training. So what we look for is individuals that have a core character and capabilities that we can use as a foundation to train them and to introduce them to our model and our expectations to how to support the students in our program. But we have fortunately reached out with local colleges like ASU and really are working one-on-one with them as far as bringing their graduates on board. And we have other organizations that specialize in helping provide quality and talented educators for schools like ourselves.
That's great. I want to remind our listeners to join Radio Phoenix, to join us and Roosevelt Row and Stir It Up Records on Friday, September 1st for the first monthly First Friday Art Walk. It's now expanded to Moreland Street in downtown Phoenix. First Friday features art vendors, food trucks, and live local bands. Between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m., Radio Phoenix will also broadcast live from Moreland Street. For more information, it's available at artlinkphoenix.com/First-Fridays. Be sure to check out First Friday with Radio Phoenix. Kenny, the concept of the school is extraordinary. The school exists for only one reason, and of course that's its students and their families. So tell us about the first students at Science Prep Academy. How many kids do you have, and how does that array among the various grades?
Well, we have, for this first year, we set a limit of only 12 students. So we still have some current seats available, but we have a very interesting makeup of students. Some of our students' parents are actually educators in the local school districts. So they're very informed and engaged. We have some parents that are just really supporters and have been advocates in the autism awareness community here in Arizona, and they really value what we have put together. It really has been a blessing to have such a high caliber of parents that really appreciate what we do. It was just a blessing. We knew when we opened our doors initially that we would just have to have the right parent who could really, support what we're doing and really understand what we're doing, and really try to change the education and the expectations for individuals on the autism spectrum. So we have been really blessed with a group of great parents.
As you ramp up or grow over the next year or two or three, obviously that student body, that student population is going to grow from 12,
Correct.
which you have now, to a much larger number, and you're going to need that to be a sustainable organization, sustainable school. What are you projecting down the road? Do you have any idea?
Well, our projections for next year is actually 40 students.
Oh, that's a big growth.
It is. So we decided this year for us to give ourselves a chance to just really focus in on our program. We know, unfortunately, some schools, particularly charter schools, that have to start out with a higher number of students to allow themselves just to receive bonds so they can buy a building. We were blessed to have a partnership and have access to a great facility. We took advantage of this opportunity to really have a smaller number. But next year we'll expand to 10th grade and we'll expand to 40 students, but we'll max out at 70 students as we grow to 12th grade. But one thing we're doing is very unique, is that we have a wraparound program, and our wraparound program actually involves going into the parents' homes, because it's something simple. If we have expectations for a child, say, for them to hang up their coat, and then our expectations are when they transition into a career or job situation for them to be able to hang up their lab coat, we have to make sure that in the home setting that they're hanging up their coats as well, right? It doesn't make sense. So what we decided to do is create a wraparound program that actually helps the parents to learn the strategies that we're teaching their children in school. So we'll all be on one accord, and we really expect, and data shows that that type of program really helps for individuals with autism to really progress.
That's fascinating. It's an interesting concept. We're going to take a short break and then more of my conversation with Kenny Mims of Science Prep Academy. You're listening to The Phoenix File. I'm Stu Turgel, and this is Radio Phoenix. Welcome back to the Phoenix File. I'm your host, Stu Turgel, with my guest tonight, Kenny Mims. And now more of our conversation about Science Prep Academy. Kenny, let's talk about the curriculum. We hear a lot about STEM, but I'm not sure that everyone fully understands what STEM means and why STEM studies are so important. So tell us about STEM and why you decided to focus on this educational model. Is there something about STEM studies that seems to work especially well with autistic students?
That's an excellent question. So initially when I first started teaching, I was a STEM teacher, a science hands-on teacher at many schools, and I was dissatisfied with the actual curriculum. What it meant was that I would have a cart and I would just put science things or things that represented science for what the school thought, and I would just go around to the classrooms and just science on a cart, do. And I was disappointed, but I had a great experience to work with some good school districts. And it's when we talk about STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, or math, it's a little more complex and a little bit more, it has to go a little bit deeper. So what we're doing at the foundation of our program is what's called a First Lego League experience. We have a First Lego League team. And actually we piloted a First Lego League team of individuals with autism last year. First is it's a national organization that was created by an individual that created Segways, and then in partnership with Lego. So it's an international program where kids come together, they compete, they use Lego Mindstorm robots, and they code and program them. So what we have at our school is a daily class in which we focus on working on that particular challenge. But it's an opportunity for us as a school for individuals with autism for us to focus on their goals as far as working in a cooperative group. So that means team goals, communication, leadership, material management, and those type of things. So I said to myself, this would be a wonderful way to really infuse the particular goals that individuals have that have autism, and that research shows that helps them to transition to career. So what we're using is a STEM model that really that brings the academic side, but really brings on the hands-on sides. We also infuse the coding and the technical education aspect as well. Long-term wise, we have partnerships where we bring local mentors from local companies, say Intel, and they have departments where they have individuals that work at the company that actually have learning disabilities or just have disabilities as well. So we're going to bring them on board as mentors and to monitor and observe what we have going on. But the goal is for us to transition and take field trips to those companies. And then from field trips, the individuals can see, wow, John came by and he was a mentor, he's a great guy, and now we go see John at his company. So they're connecting the academic situation to a real life situation. And the goal is eventually to do extern and internship opportunities so students can go for a period of time to that particular job and gain hands-on experience. Research shows that this works, and we're just looking to connect the dots, to build those partnerships with the local community, and to give students with autism a greater advantage by just exposing them to something at an earlier age.
I love that concept. Tell us what other services are in place for the special needs students in your environment that we wouldn't see in a typical school.
Yeah, that's a great question also. So we have a couple of things. Typically individuals with autism, they receive therapeutic services. Some of the therapeutic services would be something called OT, which is occupational therapy, and something called speech, which is speech and communications. Also, we provide something called behavior support. So we have a partnership with a company called Milestone Pediatrics. They are certified speech pathologists and also certified occupational therapists. So they come on board one-on-one, but they also train our staff so we can implement and support those strategies in a daily situation. But we also have a behavior support program in which we provide a positive behavior incentives. So instead of saying a child receives a consequence, we just have a system in which kids want to follow our expectations. We have a core value at our school called pride, and the P stands for just being prepared to learn. The R is just respecting self and others. The I is being in the right place at the right time. D is demonstrating responsible behavior, and the E is very important because that's expecting success. So as long as the child is demonstrating or displaying those core behaviors, then they receive points. And then at the end of the week, they're able to participate in different activities like going to the pool and just having a totally engaging environment. Also, we have things like a school store so they can use a token economy to purchase different things from snacks to school supplies, or just an opportunity for them just to do their own thing and spend time on the computer or playing with a puzzle or a card game.
That's great. Science Prep Academy is the first STEM career and college pathway school specifically for students with autism in this community. Are there other schools like this elsewhere in the country?
No, not that I've seen. I haven't based this on any other models that I've saw.
So you're really groundbreaking here.
Well, I guess I'm a little crazy, but it's just something I saw that I think works, and it works. It just makes sense.
I would imagine that, and it's too early now. Your school year is only a couple of weeks old, but I assume that over time, particularly because there aren't other schools like yours, that you have the ability to want to export some of your experiences, not so much to another school, but in the academic environment. There are a lot of interested university programs in the country that are deeply interested in autism. Here in our own community, we have the Southwest Autism Research Center. So autism is on the minds of an awful lot of academics and clinicians and families. Will you be finding ways to export your experiences?
Well, of course. I know SARC is a great leader in the Valley. We have been a supporter from SARC. And we're just amazed at a lot of the things that they do. Actually, we have a goal to really become for our program to provide a link so we can connect our students with their program. They have a new program that opened up for young adults who are with autism, so they can help transition into a young adulthood. So our goal is really just to help, to partner with local leaders in the community dealing with autism, and just create a pipeline. I really just want our students to be prepared for the next level. If a child decides to go to college or ASU, we want them to be prepared. If a child decides to enter into a program, say like SARC has for first place, we want them to be successful. Or if a child is prepared to enter the workforce, like a company like Intel, Microsoft, or they just want to work with Sprout, we want them to be able to transition into that workplace and really take a load off of the work industry, so they won't have to spend time with social things, behaviors, and expectations, which I feel really is the K-12 school system's responsibility.
So you're starting out with grades 6 through 9, but eventually you expect to have high school grades as the children age into those upper grades. At that time, your high school students will have the opportunity to receive college credit with dual enrollment at Maricopa County community colleges. Are there particular challenges that you foresee in achieving this goal with a student body of special needs kids?
Well, there's always going to be challenges, but our unique program using a blended model, which is a digital curriculum, really prepares the students to transition into a dual enrollment opportunity, particularly a dual enrollment which would be online. So our students are used to completing a program online, so they understand the pace, they understand just the whole dynamics of working and the responsibilities of working with the digital program. So with our program being individualized, you may have a student with autism that may struggle in language arts, and they, for instance, say a child is in 9th grade. They may be 2 grades behind in language arts, maybe 7th grade, but they may be on 11th grade or 12th grade math. So what happens there is a child may max out at 12th grade, and then they just sit in a classroom not able to go any higher. But with our school, what we're going to do is we'll open up that opportunity for them to take those math courses at a higher level with a local community college.
Science Prep is not a charter school. It's a private nonprofit school. So how are you financing the operation? What's the tuition to attend, and are there scholarships available? And if so, where does that support come from?
Well, the funny thing about it, the initial financing came from my teacher retirement account. Honestly. But fortunately, Arizona has a great program called the Empowerment Scholarship. So parents who have students, children rather, with autism, or children with disabilities, they're able to apply for a state scholarship, and they can, the parents can use that to send their child to a private school or even homeschool if they choose. So our parents take advantage of that opportunity and use it to pay for tuition at our school.
Great. And what is tuition?
Tuition is $24,000 a year, which includes the OT, or occupational and speech therapy, and behavior support. So we provide a high quality of therapy in the school in the day setting, which is sometimes challenging for many parents who have working.
Kenny, thanks for telling us about Science Prep Academy. I wish the teachers and students and families a wonderful inaugural year for your new school and many successful years ahead. And thanks for being here tonight on the Phoenix File.
Thank you so much, Stu. Thank you for inviting me out. I appreciate it.
Well, that's our show for this week, and I want to thank my guest tonight, Kenny Mims of Science Prep Academy. Please join me next Tuesday night at 6:30 when the Phoenix File pays tribute to the American worker. We'll commemorate the upcoming Labor Day holiday with my guests who are local labor leaders and experts on organized labor who'll discuss the contributions, trends, and achievements and challenges that local labor unions and their memberships deal with. Until next week, thanks for listening to the Phoenix File. For Radio Phoenix, this is Stu Turgel.